Open this right here. It's locked. What you have to do is go to the keypad, and we're going to enter the keys 0, 2, 1, 4, and pound. Like he said, door opens, and what is that? That looks like.
Have you ever used one of these before?
Taser.
Ranged combat is for people with clean fingernails, Theo.
A taser isn't exactly ranged.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it then?
It's, you know.
Are you asking for instructions? Shoot him with the sparky end.
So Nikki continues to amaze here. Let's see if we can. She does not like tasers. She likes to get up close and personal and beat the crap out of people. She likes to, you know, watch the light go out, I guess, as an assassin. Here we go. We got a guy, and we are going to light him up. You can see us, right, pal? All right, good. Got him. Homie's out. Now the important thing to note: if you attack a person or a guard, a nurse, and they are in the camera's field of view, the camera will pick it up and they will alert. Same thing. The guards that walk by and they see somebody who's down, they'll notice it. They'll start to look for you. They'll start to look for what's going on, and they'll initiate a search. So another reason why, if you're using violence, you really want to make sure that you're being careful about it. Opening this terminal, we're going to get a key card. We're going to try to increase our access level here, and we're going to open a few of these. I'm going to let you kind of go through all of it if you want, but I know where this is. Looks like our friend Levitt has changed up some of the interesting pieces of the shared terminal here, and he changed the encryption password down to some incantation of "wax my ass." And we know that the keycard access program is here. We're going to use it. We're going to enter that password, wax my ass, and sure enough, we have increased our access level. We're going to move forward, step over that poor guy. Sorry, bud, but we just had to do it. And we're going through here. Camera, not a good idea to go there. And we can move forward. We got the atrium there. If we go this way, follow the signs for the cafeteria. Another camera. So this is why we needed to increase our access level, because we can open this door.
Can I ask you a question?
Really? Right now?
When my dad approached you, what did he ask? What did he do that made you reach out to me? Because I've read about, like, women.
Oh, God.
And you, have a code, right?
Lay off the RPGs, Theo.
So we're going to move through here. We're going to get through the atrium. Make sure no one's coming. And if you've been following along on social media, you'll recognize this scene.
Damn it, she saw us.
And this nurse sees you.
What the fuck?
And
She just...
Is she, like, a goner?
A goner? Are you 12? Yeah, she's fucking toast.
she's toast.
You're gonna blame this on us.
Come on, let's cut through the cafeteria before somebody finds her.
Okay, and it looks like the cafeteria is right there. Pay no attention to this guard here. You're going to get by him. There's nothing in there for you. And we're just going to try to move through the cafeteria here.
We're trapped.
Oh.
Fucking door's locked.
And the door's locked.
Quick. to
We
the
gotta
left.
bail.
Hide.
Nikki tells you to move to the left. You got to quickly get there.
Try to get to the kitchen. Maybe we can wait them out in there.
Okay. What?
She tells you that you got to get to the kitchen.
Just act busy, someone said we looked. They think
So-
the patient took down the power? Have they looked outside? Dude, you know how they are, just...
You can't see us.
You know.
You can't see us. Thankfully, it's dark. All right. So we're going to head right to the kitchen in the back here. And we're going to wrap up the Gray Block demo.
Damn it, we're still too high to get out.
You wanted to jump?
We're running out of options, Theo.
Oh, God. Now you don't know what to do? We're screwed, right?
I'm going to go check the kitchen.
Damn it! Split up and hide.
Sounded like
God,
me, didn't
This
it?
is it.
Hey, freeze the door's open. I'm going to go check it out.
Oh no, she's in there. I have to help. I have to help her.
So, guard came by, they hid. Theo has gotten out of hiding here, and we have to go help out Nikki because it's very likely that security guard is in the freezer with Nikki.
Holy fuck! Stop right there! Put your hands up!
Patient free. You copy? Dangerous patient is loose in the hospital. Martinez was found unconscious. The fucking door in his room. Initiate full search of floors 4, 5, and 6. Approach with extreme caution. Address by name Tango Hotel Echo Oscar. Last name Charlie Hotel Uniform Romeo Charlie Hotel.
And that's it. So you've played probably about 30% of Gray Block. We've completed the demo. Really want to hear your feedback. We got through. We died once or twice, and so that's it. Leaving you at the point where in the story where the guards know Theo has left his room. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens going forward. But I really hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed following along and looking at the game, despite a few of the bugs. I'm going to go in today, and I've got a few fixes that I want to make after this stream. Hopefully, have a release up by tomorrow afternoon, maybe tomorrow night at the latest. We'll have a new update for the Gray Block demo, but at a minimum, that's it. And so yeah, I'm really excited to hear what you have to say. If you liked it, if you thought it was good, if you enjoyed the humor, if you thought the story was intriguing, just tell me. You can DM me on Twitter. You can put it in the comments section in the reviews of Steam. But I would encourage you to play through. Go through the game and see if there are things that you like. And if you do like it, please leave a positive review. Help me out. It would be super helpful. So, with that being said, what I'd like to do is kind of open it up for a wrap up here in the last 25 minutes, and talk about some of the things with Gray Block, and just sort of me. I can give you some background information, but I wanted to get you a playthrough and some eyes on for the game as quickly as possible. So if you have any questions, enter them in the chat. I'm happy to answer questions that come in. But otherwise, I've got a few planned that I think are worth answering, or you might be curious about. I guess the first one is, who am I, right? What is Silver Rat Studios? So my name is Ron, like I said, and I'm a software developer by trade. I have been a software developer for 10 years, and I started Gray Block 5 years ago and decided that I wanted to get into making video games. Before that, I was a musician. I was in a band with a few of my friends, and we had this creative outlet, which was music. And you're just being older and jobs get in the way. We weren't really able to continue that as frequently as we'd liked. And also, there's something weird about older guys in rock bands. At some point it stops to work. So for me, the way to sort of scratch that creative itch was to start on this project. And I was hoping that, and I am still hoping that, I can turn this into something that is pretty serious, and sort of grow the Silver Rat label and make some more games for you that you like. But how did I get into it? And how did I stay with it for 5 years? So it's a really interesting story that takes me back to 2015, 2016, when I was I just decided to throw caution to the wind, and I took a solo trip to Japan for 11 days. Japan was a country that I always wanted to go to. I have such an enormous respect for a lot of the culture in Japan, specifically the craftsman culture, the way that I think that they approach perfection. They don't try to over-optimize everything in things, and so when you read about like sushi chefs and just their cooking, it's at times minimalistic, but it's also greatly detailed. It really drove me there, and also just being able to try ramen. I was at a pretty intersectional period in my life, and I got there and I started exploring some of the temples and some of the older aspects of Japan, and I was just blown away. And I thought to myself right then, there on the spot, having never given any thought to making video games before in my life, I was like, man, it would be really cool if somebody made, like an open world immersive game in Japan, in like Edo era Japan. Like I would totally play that. And that was like day 2 of the trip. And so by day 11, I remember I went to the Samurai Museum, and the idea just kind of like the dam burst. And I had this thought that I was just like, you know what? I need to make this game. I need to do it. And of course I had all the crazy ideas. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's going to take me a few years. I'm going to get investors and I'll show them how amazing it is. And when I got back, I sort of slowly touched into and moved my way into making video games. It's written about in a little more detail on the blog, on my website. But I realized pretty quickly that mountain was a little bit too big to climb, and I needed something that was a little bit different. At the same time, I had started kicking around the idea for Gray Block, and it just came out of nowhere. It took a little bit to pivot, right? Because I didn't want to sort of have this be another project where I was really passionate about it and then it dropped off my plate, and it would mean a lot to me to continue this and make sure I saw it through to completion. So about 5 years ago, I picked it up. I had played with sort of digital art for the first few months or so while I was pursuing the first idea. And then I started on Gray Block, started on the programming aspect, and I really pulled things together. And then it was just a labor. It was a very intensive war against myself and sort of protecting the project from my own worst impulses, right? So how do you just stay with something and work on it like every night after work for 5 years? And it was just that. It was making sure that I'm only, that I'm continually making progress. I'm not over-optimizing. I'm not, polishing things so acutely to the point where the other pieces of the game are not being developed. So I had this rule, which was to get things to what I call the 75% complete mark. If I wanted to build something out, it was get it to 75% complete, get it to the point where I could look at it and say, you know what, that's I can see what it's going to become, and I can leave it here and I can move on to the next thing. And the thought was get everything there and then go back over it and polish it up, because then you'll have a better lens. You'll see what's really weak versus some of the other elements in the game, and it really saved me. It allowed me to get some continued enjoyment out of making a game, and doing this so rigorously, right? So it's like I work a full-time job, and I would come home, and I would start working on this 8 o'clock, and I'd work on it till like midnight or 1 a.m. My weekends were pretty similar. Whatever free time I had on the weekends, I'd spent working on Gray Block, and yeah, it just kind of became a snowball effect. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy it. You can't do something that you don't really enjoy for 5 years in your free time. It was an immense creative release for me. Even the times where things were just broken and were really frustrating, and I found myself swearing, pounding the keyboard. they were all sort of made up by those moments where things broke free and you got this really cool feature, or when I'm playing the game and I'm hearing the audio and I'm laughing at it, or I'm like getting intrigued by the story, right? So yeah, I guess the last thing is what gave me the idea for Gray Block, right? That's another question. I couldn't really tell you. It was just I think I was traveling home from work one time, from a work trip, and I like to listen to music when I'm on the airplane, and for some reason a song came on and I immediately just pictured the ending to this story. It turned out being the ending to Gray Block, and it was a story about this guy who was in a psychiatric ward, and it just came to me. And so I had this moment where I was like, that would be a really cool story, and I could potentially use it to pivot off of my current project, which was the large open world Japan project. And eventually I was able to do it. I started down the path. All I had was an ending, but I decided to pivot over to that. I thought it was a cool ending. I actually showed it to my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and said, "Hey, do you think that this is cool?" She was like, "I think it's really cool." And she, we talked about pivoting over, and she gave me the support to do that. And yeah, I didn't start with the full story. It wasn't like, this is the entire story from Gray Block from beginning to end. I literally started at the end, and I started building out the game because there were things that I could build in that I didn't need to have the full story for. Like I could model the initial character. I could build out the sort of the AI and the mechanics of the game and the walking around and the animation with the sneaking. I could build out firing tasers and all that stuff before the story was fully complete. And that's kind of how it happened. I had an ending, and then I started writing essentially the beginning and filling in the details in between, where I came up with the story. And then, the little side elements like Sinon and the RX-116 storyline, all of these things kind of just came in as the development was progressing along. Whether they were used to, some of them were actually used to make the gameplay actually more believable, right? So it just all sort of filled in, and it was just like piece by piece by piece by piece. And not really having the entire road ahead of me before moving on. It was just sort of like, go a little bit further, okay, and do what I can here, and then move on, and then move on, and move on, and just continued for 5 years, till we're at now. And I got to be honest, hearing some of the feedback that I've gotten, especially the stuff on the voice acting, hearing people talk about the dialogue and how humorous it is. That's stuff that keeps us going. It keeps indie devs sort of engaged. It keeps you fresh. Keeps the wind in your sail. Because it's a tough thing to do. It reminds me of being in a local band where everyone's trying to get famous. Everyone's trying to be heard, and it's just this rat race. So when you get that positive feedback, it really means a lot. So if you got something, if there's something you enjoyed, not just for me, but if there's an indie dev or an indie game, somebody who's going about it, even if there's just a small team, telling you that positive feedback, that, whoa, that thing looks really cool, that particle effect looks really nice, I love the work that you're doing, keep it coming. Those comments just, they really put the wind at your back, because when there's nothing going on, it can be tough, right? The doubt starts creeping in. It's impossible to not listen to that demon every once in a while, that bad angel who's telling you that you're not that good. So yeah, I think the last thing here that I just want to touch on is some of the story elements and the themes, right? So maybe I'll touch on the themes on Saturday's thing. But one of the things you might have picked out in Gray Block is the the sort of dialogue and the banter between Nikki and Theo, and some of the humor in the game, and that's done pretty deliberately, right? Like I tend to like comedic elements, and one of the I guess one of the games that I'd sort of draw a parallel to in that regard is The Last of Us, right? You have The Last of Us, which is just this horrible world that no one would want to live in, and it's just it is just intensity no matter where you are in the world. Granted, you have this story that can be heartfelt and at times warming over that's overlaid over this world. But the thing that kind of keeps you going are those little beats, the breaks in the action where you get to laugh. Ellie says something funny where she's reading out of her pun book, and it really breaks up the intensity. So in Gray Block, I'm using humor in the same way, right? We've got this really intense subject with the conspiracy that is that's against this gentleman Theo, and you have all these things going on like healthcare corruption and secret procedures that are being tried on patients, which is obviously the thing with the room, and without a little bit of something to break that up, it just becomes very monotone, and it can be tough to keep somebody engaged, right? You have to create these sort of dynamic effects where there are moments where you can kind of like step back and you can laugh, right? And so Nikki is written in that particular manner. She's very strong, she's very capable, and she's almost antagonistic towards Theo, right? It's done to kind of lighten the mood. It's done to create this immersion in this atmosphere that is less formal and speaks to the player a little bit. I think it kind of like pulls you in. It allows you to immerse into scenes in ways where and sort of get to know these characters and relate to them in ways that you might not be able to do in lots of video games. I guess Mass Effect is probably another good example of that, right? A game where there are a whole lot of great things about Mass Effect, but I think one of the things that really stands out about it is the characters. You have allies and they kind of become your friends. I remember playing that game and thinking at one point I was like, man, I really want to see what's going on with Garrus, right? And so you just like go and talk to Garrus and you have this conversation. It's just wild how you can like write a personality and you can give a player a total immersion and feeling like they're a part of that world. And that's something that I have strove to do in Gray Block, but I think is thematically something that I will try to do in all of the video games that I create, if I can create some more of them. I would say that immersion and player immersion is probably the number one driving factor in a Silver Rat game going forward. So if you're looking for any future releases and you're looking for a way to characterize a Silver Rat game, I would say, look for story, look for immersion, and look for, games that have something to say. There's something going on in Gray Block right now, and it's a game with something to say. So hopefully you're listening. Hopefully you find it interesting, and I hope you follow along more. But if there's nothing else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off here. I'm going to end my stream, and yeah, I just want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, for following along. And certainly hope to hear more from you. Please be sure to play Gray Block. Like I said, I will be updating. I will be supporting the game. I know it's not perfect right now, but I will try to get it into a state where it is perfect. But just be sure to let me know. Don't give up on me. Stick with me through this, and I'll make sure that we give you something that's really good. So with that being said, I'm Ron Silver Rat, and I am signing off. Thank you again, and I will see you on Saturday afternoon. Enjoy Gray Block, please. Thank you.